I'm going to show you how to use the pen tool in Photoshop and in Illustrator to create a stroke, manipulate it, and make an Ogee repeat pattern. So if we go to Photoshop, I'm going to just go File New, or sorry, File Open, and I'm going to open an image that I have of an Ogee. So I've opened this image, and I'm going to just double check that the size is a reasonable size. The resolution is 72 and it's about 1,000 pixels, meaning that the design unit itself is going to be probably in the range of 500 pixels, meaning that it's a web size. But we're going to use the pen tool, and since we're using the pen tool, we're creating a vector shape, and since we're using a vector shape, we could scale it up or down infinitely without losing resolution when we go to print it. So it's okay to start small in this instance because it's not going to make your computer slow, and it's better to work small when working with vector shapes for that reason. That said, when you scale it up, you'll need to change the width of the stroke. Okay, so I have this design unit in Photoshop, and I'm going to crop it down. The basic design unit looks like this. If I line up the center and the sides of the unit with the center of the stroke, and this is a rough approximation, this design unit should repeat infinitely. Okay, so let's use the pen tool. I'm going to select shape. I'm going to tell it no fill, and I'm going to go black stroke. Oops. And I'm going to change the size to 4 points. And that's just going to give me a reasonable sized stroke. Also, I have rulers turned on. It's in View, Rulers. And I'm going to click and drag out. And the reason I'm going to do this is I'm going to try and get to the center of the object here, and I'm going to try and get to the center of the object here. Now if you don't get it perfect, it's okay. It looks like the design that I've chosen from online is actually a little bit off, pixel for pixel. In other words, if I zoom in, you can see that I'm a little bit to the left and right of the design unit. So it's okay. We're going to go to the guides that we sent. We're going to use this Ogee background as just a shape. It's just going to help us identify the shape. So I'm going to have the pen tool, and I'm going to start with a square, and I'm going to click right on the line. I'm going to follow this line, but more or less the shape of the Ogee here. It doesn't have to be perfect. And as you're going around, what you probably want to do is I'm going to go to the inside. Always have a rule that you're going to play by so that you know kind of how you've done things. Now you can hold down Shift, and it will keep this, it will snap the handle right to 90 degrees, which is nice and handy. I'm going to come down and click here, and I'm going to turn this with the Alt key back into a, one side is a corner, one side is a curve. And I don't have to go to the direct selection to do that. I just have to hold down Alt while I'm using the pen tool. But I do have to pick back up or click back on that last anchor point. I'm going to come in over here and do the same thing, and I'm going to hold down Shift, and it's going to keep me at a 90-degree angle. That's good enough. And now I have a basic line or a stroke, and that works pretty good. At this point, you don't really need that background shape anymore, and with an Ogee you don't want to try and guesstimate all the way around. You want to copy and paste and manipulate this line. So what I'm going to do is make 4 copies of this line. How I'm going to do that, come over to the layers palette and drag this down 4 times. Now I'm going to get rid of the background. Hit delete. Okay, so now I have 4 copies, and what I want to do is transform them. So I'm going to just start at the top layer and work my way down. That one I'm going to go to File, Edit, Transform Path, and I'm going to flip horizontal. And now I'm just going to use Shift and the right arrow key. Shift just moves me over 10 pixels at a time. And I've moved it. Pretty cool. I'm going to come down to the next one. I'm going to go Edit, Transform Path, flip horizontal, do it again, and flip vertical. Hold down Shift and use the arrow key. You can also rotate 90 degrees, so on and so forth, but if you don't have a perfect mirrored path, rotating might not be enough. So that's why I did the flip, because now I know that, you see that it still lands on that side of my stroke. It still lands on that side of my stroke up here, and these two line up perfectly. Come back. I'm going to go to this last one, Edit, Transform Path, and flip vertical. Shift, arrow key down. And this is all done with the Move tool on. Remember, that's a hotkey V. I'll zoom in, hand tool over there, come down a click. Now I have released Shift because I just want to go 1 pixel at a time. Now I have an Ogee. That unit right there will repeat infinitely. As long as you have them all selected, you should be good. Now if you flatten image, this is all you need to do in Photoshop. The last thing you'll do is save as. Save it as a PNG or a JPEG.